Hey there, everybody. I'm out and about right now, and I had an idea. Not really an idea. It was more of an instance that just came up. I'm on my lunch break. I'm walking at my local park, and I was just at a record store over my weekend just a few days ago, and something came up with the guy that worked there. I'd never been to this record store. It's fairly new. They've been advertising it on my local oldies station. And they announced like thousands of records of inventory and CDs, used CDs. And so I'm like, okay, this is cool. I'm going to use my day off to visit this place. So I go into this place, and it's a tiny little, probably the size of a trailer. They have a few little like tchotchkes and things like that. But I'm looking, I find the records. There's no thousands of inventory. There's no overflow of records. Like half the bins are empty, and it's not really go-to records. I mean, it's a lot of like Glenn Campbell and Buck Owens and I don't know, some there's some bootleg stuff. There's some like bootleg Beatles stuff, some bootleg Pink Floyd. But I go, and I'm always looking for a few things. I'm always looking for reasonably priced Beatles stuff, John Prine, Van Morrison, Tom Petty, and Bob Dylan. I'm always looking for that stuff. Everything else that I find is just icing. So I'm there and I'm looking around, and I find a Michael Nesmith album, and I'm like, oh, this is a good price. It was like $12. Clean record, good looking cover, but any kind of water damage or nicks or the corners weren't chopped off. So I'm like, okay, I can do this. I don't have any Michael Nesmith on vinyl, so I pick that up. I pick up another album. I find a CD, a Van Morrison CD, which I'll show in another video. So I've looked. It's 20 minutes that I've looked through their entire inventory, so that kind of gives you an idea of, and that's including like their dollar bins on the floor. So I'm like, this is kind of overhyped. So I go up to the counter, and the guy at the counter, and I'm not going to get into politics or anything, but he made a political statement right when I walked up to the register, which was completely uncalled for, regardless of which way you lean politically. I'm a new person to your store. I'm not like somebody that you see, at your job, and I'm just here on my day off. He just happened to assume that I agreed with him on something, and I'm just waiting. I'm just trying to check out with my, $25 worth of merchandise. So he says this. I'm kind of like, oh, okay, that was no need for that, but I'm gonna let it go. So then he starts ringing up my Michael Nesmith vinyl. And I don't know about you all, but it bugs me when people think they know stuff about a topic and they're just 100% wrong. For those of you that don't know, Michael Nesmith of the Monkees and of his own solo fame, Michael Nesmith's mother was the creator of liquid paper, like Whiteout. And when she died, she willed her estate to her son, Michael Nesmith. So Michael Nesmith is a very rich man without the Monkees. I mean, he could have just been an average Joe, and he would have been a millionaire, multi-millionaire, because she had the patent. So I go up to the counter. This guy said his 2 cents. He asked me, he says, hey, do you know who Michael Nesmith is? Of course I know who Michael Nesmith is. I'm buying his record. So I'm like, yeah, he was in the Monkees, and I love his solo stuff too. I'm like, actually, I'm gonna go see him in October with Mickey on their farewell tour. And he's not listening. He's about to rattle off some facts that are just completely false. He's like, yeah, urban legend. Not urban legend. He's like, urban legend says his mom invented sticky notes. She didn't invent sticky notes. I was like, oh, well, no, she actually invented liquid paper. It's like, yeah, that's it, liquid paper and the sticky note. No. She invented liquid paper. What he was mistaken was the guy that invented the glue on the back of the Post-it note just died a couple weeks ago. So he was getting that confused. And so, at this point, he's insisting that she invented the sticky note. Then he goes to tell me that Nesmith was the only musician in the Monkees. Again, completely false. Okay, if you know anything about the Monkees, you know Peter Tork was, I think Peter Tork was the only one who was actually trained in music. Nez learned guitar, and Nez was a guitar player. I mean, he was a folkie, and had did his own solo stuff before he was with the Monkees. Peter Tork can play anything. I mean, Peter Tork can play piano, banjo, bass, guitar, sing, and he can do really good on the pipe organ with pedals on the pipe organ. So Peter Tork was a musician, and he was a true folkie. He was a Greenwich Village folkie, and he hung out with the Laurel Canyon crowd. He loved Stephen Stills and Buffalo Springfield, Mama Cass. I mean, he was in that group. So back to this bozo at the counter. He's giving me the fact that Michael Nesmith has invented the sticky note, and that Michael Nesmith was the only musician in the Monkees. And throughout his politics, within 2 seconds of me walking up to the register without saying a word to him. So, have you ever had somebody come up to you with information musically? Let's keep it musically. Information that was just completely wrong. Like, one other thing, I know the one time I saw Paul McCartney live back in 2014, he started playing the song Let Me Roll It by Wings. And it's a heavy song, but the guy sitting next to me who had a few beers before he had come into the concert late, he's like, oh, that's a good song. It's my favorite off of Sgt. Pepper. It's not a Beatles song. It wasn't a Sgt. Pepper. He's seeing Paul McCartney. He just spent over $100 to see Paul McCartney. He doesn't know that Let Me Roll It was not a Beatles song. Anyway, that's my little rant. Hope you all are well. Let me know your scenarios where people gave you the false information about music, and did you bite your tongue or did you lash out? Talk to y'all soon.